Yeah, big time. Number 9. Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine.
A totally different intro. You never know. I just play with whatever. I just play with whatever's plugged in anymore. I'm not worried about customizing all of my own stuff. But welcome into Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day for everybody. I'm glad that you guys are back with the MLB Live Block Show here at DFSArmy.com. As you see, we have a special guest now that Razzle has been doing his training and whatnot at the day job. We've got Darth Pasta plugging in. So what's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, man?
I am awesome. Different people, different personalities. I guess I'm the only one that is the same. Or whatever the hell
it's
that's worth.
Almost summer vacation for me, so I'm doing really, really well.
That's awesome. You mentioned you were closing down your room. I saw Razzle was in the chat. Dixon's in the chat. Tattoos in the chat. Yeah. Everybody's
tattoo.
That's sweet. Love
Razzle.
Love
what
we're starting to build.
What do I do with my hands?
Darth Chop on your father. Rick Cha says it all. We're going to do the same thing. We're rundown. We're going to talk. We don't have Razzle's tiers today, so I have a little bit of a trick for those of you guys that are piling in. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to keep Razzle's thing, and we're going to move on. And Darth and I are going to do something on our own and have a little bit of fun with you guys there too. But go tell your friends, text them, tweet them, whatever. Get them in here because we're going to need crowd participation to make it fun. Otherwise, it's going to make me look like a real idiot for thinking this thing up. So that said, how has your week, your season, your MLB stuff gone so far? Because we haven't talked to you about that in particular yet.
Mm-hmm. It's been kind of rough a little bit. I think a lot of people are seeing the same thing, and I think part of it is just the variance and the volatility that MLB is. I think part of it is just I don't know that anybody's really doing anything different than they've done in years past. I think it's just kind of on the wrong side, me at least, the variance swing. And that's something we talk a lot about in all of the sports, really, but especially in sports like MLB, right? A month or two sample size just isn't enough to figure out, hey, is this really working? Is this not, right? You need a year, you need 2 years worth of data. And we've all been successful enough over the years to know that, hey, what we're doing is working. You just kind of have to grind through those down swings that we all have inevitably. And so for me, the last couple of start the season, that's kind of where I've been a little bit too. But again, I've also seen the positive, so I'm not personally stressing too much. Just trust the process and keep going.
Absolutely, that's always a hot button topic with new members, veteran members, everybody. Can you, since you and I haven't talked strategy or anything in a while, can you throw people, say 2 or 3 quick tips that help you kind of deal with the variance? Like what has gotten you through some of those horrible stretches?
I think for me, I've got enough of a bankroll that I can kind of keep playing sort of the same amount every day. I'll back it off a little bit if all of a sudden I have 5, 6, 7 dedicatedly losing days. But for the most part, personally, I just try to stay consistent with what I'm playing. I know, at least for me early on when I was first getting into DFS, I would lose and then I would try to chase. I would throw good money after bad. And so just recognizing, at least for me, that part of me and just saying, hey, no, just force myself to stay consistent with what I'm playing, stay consistent with the contest selection. And then I think it's just leaning on the community that we have here. We stay in chat all the time. We celebrate the wins. We see a lot of people in chat getting down. And it's just about continuing just to lean on one another. I lean on coaches all the time. When I get down, but I'm seeing our members win, that reinvigorates me, or that kind of keeps me going a little bit.
100%.
I'm a teacher in real life, and so I get the most thrill out of seeing others be successful rather than having the spotlight on me. I think that for everybody, new or old or returning or whatever, just celebrating the wins that we kind of, as the community, as the family, as the Army, are having. because, you know, if some of us are doing it, then eventually it's going to come back around to us. So that gives me continued confidence as well.
Yeah, cool. I actually like that bend on it. Looks like Harlock's a teacher as well. 3 cheers for teachers. Hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray. I think that the other thing that I would add is the chasing the process. Like, you know, not necessarily going from, oh, what are you doing? I saw a big win. How did you do it? And whatever. No, like Tattoo has said in chat, like you've said, like whatever, you stay with your own, you develop your process over time. You stay within your own process. And you let the good and bad days kind of flow through you and keep going. It takes a track record. It takes experience, and that's what the coaches are all here for. So, you know, as usual, MLB Live is the coupon code to use, 10% off everything. I'm going to go through a couple of tools today. We'll start with the weather station. Let me really quick give you the rundown. Edward, Harlock, Andre, what's up, boys? 11-game slate today. Coors, no, they're at Wrigley, of course. The weather, I saw St. Louis and Baltimore at 40% postponement and 60% in-game delay. That actually kind of has me cautious of pitchers usually. It doesn't really I don't get all that worried about bats yet. I mean, I'm getting there.
Same.
That's kind of on the threshold where I'm kind of like, but that's if I like the game to begin with. I don't know if I like the game to begin with tonight or not. St. Louis, they probably could do some damage, but Tampa Bay's the warm spot at 85 degrees, as always. So good hitting environment there, best probably hitting environment. But again, that's like a small factor. So I'm looking for matchups and things before I do that. Starting pitching, we'll go to that with I again, large slate, right? Razzle and I talked about this for weeks. Large slate dilutes ownership. You don't even have to really pay attention to it. But in the interest of staying consistent and staying on theme, we had 5 pitchers today over 20% in the DS this morning. I don't know if it's changed, but Horton, Rodon, Miguel, Burns, and Hunter Brown were all over 20%. So, and some of them lined up great. Like when we look at the Carnage report here in a little bit, some of them looked great. My question, pivot-wise, first of all, would be, who do you like most out of all of that chalk? Who, again, chalk is a loose term. You got to understand. I'm using the term interchangeably just because I mean popular guy. I don't mean that you can leverage off of it or even need to worry about it. I'm just saying these are the highest owned guys. That's what I say when I say chalk. I saw Joe Ryan in a 560 K score, which really kind of intrigued me a little bit as a potential GPP pivot. I don't know volatility risk wise what you would think about throwing him into the mix, but how do you feel about those first 5? How do you feel about Joe Ryan? And do you have somebody else that you're looking at instead?
Well, if we're looking at DraftKings, let's see.
You can put a FanDuel spin on if you want to too. We got some guys who play FanDuel.
And personally, I've just always been more successful at FanDuel. I don't know what it is. It's just the 2-pitcher thing versus 1 pitcher that I can't ever seem to get right. But I've just always felt more comfortable there. I like if I'm looking at DraftKings, because I know that's where more people are playing. Corbin Burns really stands out to me. His ownership has dropped a little bit. I'm looking at the cheat sheet right now. It's gone down to looks like around 16%. But he's in such a great spot against the Pirates. His offense has just been I guess abhorrent this season. And as a team, they're hitting $169 against him. They are 20 for 118 as a team against him. So in that spot, I like him a lot. Hunter Brown, he's expensive. He's expensive on both sides. He's 11K on DraftKings. He's most expensive on FanDuel. He's at 10.7, but he's worth it. Now the A's can hit, but Brown this season hasn't done anything to me to make me kind of shy away from him. And again, we like to pay for the point we know that pitching is more, I guess, predictable. And so for him, the ownership doesn't necessarily bother me. He's over 20 on FanDuel, which it's high, especially with just the 1 pitcher over there. Eovaldi is interesting to me. And the reason I say that, he's in such a great spot, but the Blue Jays are hitting 341 against him as a team. He's
Wow.
been great last year. He's been great this season. They are, as a team, they're 44 for 129, and their OPS is a little over 900. So that might be a spot to maybe go underweight on, or maybe match the field but no higher. And then I think the last one you asked about Joe Ryan. I think he's the tricky one tonight. Tampa's been hot over the last week. We know that the hitting environment there is more conducive to bats, but he's just been great this season. His K rate's over 30%. His WHIP is looking at 0.81. His ER is under 3, so that could balance things out. So, like you said, he's kind of my favorite, I guess, GPP pivot off of the chalkier ones. Again, Tampa's been hot, but at the same time, you can make the argument that they're due for a little regression back to the mean a little bit.
Yeah, that, and if somebody has swing and miss stuff and it's on that night, I mean, contact, it's not flying out of a hot ballpark if you can't make contact with it. So,
right. And at 13% on DK and 14%, there's good leverage if you got that ceiling game.
Yeah.
The last one I'd mention kind of is Cade Horton. I'm a Cubs fan. He's got all of the upside in the world. He's their top. He's looked fine his first few starts. He's got 3 starts. I think he hasn't quite done 15 innings yet. He hasn't had the strikeouts yet that he was having in AAA, but at the same time, he's also facing the rookies. So he's starting to build up that endurance, and he's cheap too. He's 8K on DraftKings and he's 7,600 on FanDuel. Now he's got ownership, I think, for those reasons, but I'm still going to have a healthy number of shares with him too, because he's got all the upside in the world facing that Rockies team, and it's not in Coors either at Wrigley.
Dixon asked, "What is WHIP?" I said walks plus hits per innings pitched. Do you want to break down maybe what a good number is, what a bad number is, kind of how to use that in MLB stats?
I think honestly, anything around 1 is solid. Anything under, I think you get to 1 point. To me, and again, this is subjective, but I think anytime you get above 1.3, 1.4, you're starting to get a little bit volatile with the base runners allowed. Now, if you've got a guy with a 2.50 ERA but with a $1.40 WHIP, are you that concerned? I think over the long run, not necessarily, because he's shown that he can mitigate the damage. But to me, I like that 1.2, 1.25 ish is kind of my threshold of good versus not so good.
Yes, generally where I'm looking is 1.2 and under. If I can find it, that's a good, solid guy that just isn't allowing a lot of damage typically. Mm-hmm. And some of those guys are contact pitchers like a Greg Maddux type, and some of those guys are just strikeout dudes like Prime Kershaw. So, the number itself isn't telling. It's used in conjunction with other numbers that we use like K per 9 and all the other stuff. I'm going to go back through some of these questions here really, really quickly, and then we'll move on to hitters. Just want to make sure that I'm not missing everybody. Dixon started off with his Soto about the Bernasol tonight, which I know is tongue in cheek, but and we'll get to him with hitters and such, I guess. Let's see. And you know what, Razzle and Tattoo, if you guys are in the chat, you guys want to chime in with your favorite pitchers tonight, a little bit of what, please do. The more interactive this obviously gets, the better we are, and everybody would love for Razzle to chime in the comments as well, and I'm sure that Darth and I are all about it. Any more pitcher dating gossip?
Maybe just as a blanket statement, especially on a larger slate, not that you necessarily have to do this, but there's an argument in your large field, in your MME, for going under on the guys that are super, super expensive, right? When you've got and you've got 4 or 5 pitchers that are over 10K, but you've got some other guys in that 9K range who might just be in the same kind of matchup. I would say don't be afraid to go under on those expensive. It helps you save a little bit, and it helps you maybe pay up for some extra.
Might be the only way you get the Cubs. It's going to be the only way you get Cubbies in your lineup anyway.
Right.
Chuck brought up about Joe Ryan and DS being all over him, which I think that we covered with the Tampa Bay hitting environment. Let's see.
I'm looking at, let's see, I'm right around field, maybe a little bit more on Joe Ryan. At least on FanDuel, he's showing it 6%. I'm probably around 8 or 9 right now. But again, my pitcher pool is what I have on my sheets. I'm very similar to what Raz does. I go over on all of my pitchers. I don't necessarily double them all. But it's just based on how I start them too. Maybe I'm double or 2.5 on my 4 stars, and I'm right around field or a little bit more on that thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andre asks any research tips when it comes to hitting props. I really don't do a lot of sports betting. I am of no service there in terms of research. You have anything to offer there? Because I really am a blank. We would need somebody else. We would need somebody else that does a lot more sports betting and stuff on top of it to provide their. Sorry, Andre, it's just not my thing. So absolutely plug it, brother. Do you have a coupon code for them?
I don't actually.
I used to have a link. I don't know what it is anymore. I'm not worried about the commission, if you will, or the affiliate. Just go over there. Just if you're into sports betting, add them to the mix. Obviously, growing outfit and doing great work over there. Do we need to give the Mets a second chance tonight, or move on with the Diamondbacks?
I'm fine with them tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna be 6 one way, half dozen the other, I think. It's just a way. And Tattoo, if you want to throw in your hitting props ideas, do it, man. Razzle says pitching super clear for him tonight. Just to play the 6 to 8 guys that project as the top plays. Don't get cute. Listen to the pitching video today. Shameless plug. I love it.
Well, and I was looking at Raz's sheet. When I usually write the night before, and then kind of input them first thing in the morning, just so I can kind of have that part done, and then I'll do the hitters later on in the morning. But I had noticed that Raz was kind of ahead of it a little bit today too, I'm sure for work, and he and I are kind of landing on pretty much the same ones. Yeah. I think the only one that he has different, he's included Kolek from the Padres. But yeah, I think he and I are on the same ones for the most part.
That's the big thing to reiterate. Big slate, diluted ownership, don't get cute. Typically what you see is what you get. Let everybody else get cute around you and take leverage on the fact that people are under-owned compared to maybe where they should be on a 6-game slate or a 7-game slate or something. Because they've got so many other options, people are going to choose inferior options. Let's hit the bats. I'm going to switch over to the leverage stacks. I'm going to go.
There we go.
Total ownership in there, and your chalk teams don't look like they've changed. New York Yankees, Houston, New York Mets, Arizona. I stopped there because there was a drop-off from about 50% or so. And again, that's for the whole lineup. That's not very highly owned, but it drops off pretty sharply. I look for break points. I look for things like that. I don't see another one. It really tapers off pretty smoothly after that. But that's about from 60 to 50 or from 50 to 40 is about the break point that I see. And so I would stop there and call it. It's not worth anything. It's just a place for me to stop my own scroll or my own brain. But anything below that, I start looking for the leverage rank side over there on the right side. Did anybody slip out of that higher ownership that's generating leverage? And you see the Cubs, and you see the Minnesota, was it the Boston Red Sox, and you see the San Diego Padres, if anybody trusts them. Who of those more leveraged teams that are, let's just say the chalk's in a good spot. We all know that's why they're the chalk. Who do you see that's slipping under the radar that kind of is making you want to dig a little deeper into their matchups?
Let's see.
Besides the Cubs, I think the main reason the Cubs are always so unattainable is because of their salary. It's so hard to get 5 of them in there. But that said, they should be higher owned than they are always. So if you can force something like that in there, do it. Hard to go wrong outside of recency. Go ahead.
Right. The Red Sox are interesting. They're lower owned, and I think they're in a good spot tonight. They are. Let's see, where are they? Yeah, Aaron Savelle, however you pronounce his name, is just not good. And even without Bregman, they've still got pieces. Devers is just hitting as well as anybody in the league right now. Mm-hmm. Duran is starting to heat up. Abreu is under radar coming up too. So they're one of my, I guess, 3 stars tonight. Let's see. Houston, again, they're owned, but they've sort of just been under the radar all season just because they've lost, with Aaron and Alvarez being hurt and everything. But Altuve's finally starting to turn around. Paredes has been hot for the last few weeks. Walker has been hot. So I like Houston, and it's not Minute Maid anymore here in Houston.
Don't date. You're dating yourself.
I am dating myself.
If you'd have called it Enron, I'd have had a real problem with
it. But those right-handed bats, with the Crawford boxes, super attractive, I think, for the right-handed bats in the lineup. Let's see, I'm looking at the leverage thing too.
You want me to scroll it down?
No, I've got it here.
Okay. There's really not a lot to like down at the bottom.
They're kind of volatile. The Reds are sort of interesting to me a little bit. There are a few hitters in the lineup that have been really, really producing lately. Austin Hayes has been producing well lately. Friedel has been hot. He's got an OPS over 1,000 the last week. Ellie is always Ellie. Mm-hmm. Daniel Lynch kind of isn't really anything to be scared of either. So I think maybe going down toward the bottom, the Reds. And like I said, Toronto, we hate stacking Toronto big, but 2s and 3s, they're hitting Eovaldi really, really well, for whatever reason. Do you go crazy on them? No, but maybe just give them a little more oomph in your percentages, I think. And then again, if you want to go to Tampa Bay, just because of the hitting environment, if you're not buying that Ryan's going to be able to do anything against them, if you want to ride the hot, and again, baseball, very similar to hockey, baseball is a game of streaks, and ride the wave, especially if they're that low owned. I mean, I know it's a 11 game slate, but 27% on DraftKings, and they're a little higher on FanDuel, but on DraftKings at 27%, and you want to ride that wave, I don't have an issue with that at all.
Okay. I'm going to really quickly blast through the Carnage report. I said I would show it, and I'm a person of my word, so I at least want to put that one on there. Because what I want to walk through, just show people the tool. Those people that are not VIPs, Tuesdays I kind of plan on showing the Carnage report. Maybe tomorrow we'll do Research Station. I got a couple of DMs about that, kind of walking through that kind of. So maybe we'll do some mix and match. But what I want to do here in a minute, after I walk through this really fast, is I want to dig into a lineup, and this is where I want crowd participation. I want to alternate. Darth and I will pick a player. You guys will pick a player. Darth and I will pick a player. You guys will pick a player, and we'll just build a lineup together as a group, and we'll see. Maybe we'll throw in $1 or single entry or something like that and see what we do with it. Might kind of be a fun way to go is build a lineup as a group. Half of it controlled by us, half of it controlled by everybody else. See what kind of goofy stuff we end up with. But we'll have to do that pretty quick because we're already starting to run out of time. We got about 10 minutes or so left. So in terms of Nilly's Carnage report, as you guys know, purple's really, really good. Purple means that pitcher doesn't give up a lot of ISO. If you see a purple Carnage number, it means the pitcher's in an elite matchup against a lineup. When you see those blues, that's also good. You usually will see them line up with more blues and more, purples and things. You come over here to the K score, and that's just the pitcher's K percentage and the opponent's K percentage added together, remove the decimal. Anything over about 500 is generally a pretty good number to look for upside, and that's where you're getting your Miguel. That's where Joe Ryan popped for me earlier today when his lower ownership. Hunter Brown, Rodon, whatever out in Anaheim or facing the Angels, whatever. These are the guys that it doesn't mean these other guys can't do it. It just means, but if I'm looking at Brady Singer at a 335 K score, either Singer's not striking people out or Kansas City's not striking out, and probably a combination of both to get a number that low. You go all the way down to German Marquez, and it's a 283, which is just awful. A lot of times these guys correlate with higher Sierras and higher carnage numbers, which means that, the Cubs are in a phenomenal spot going up against Marquez with Wrigley. And I mean, he's given up a 221 ISO against. Bowden Francis has given up a 301 against. These are some elite power. Maybe Texas is somebody we might look towards to pop a few out based on that number alone. We got a little lower K score, a little higher Sierra approaching a 5, and a higher carnage number with a 301 ISO against, and a 393, damn near 400 xwOBA. So those are little tiebreaker things that you can use this. If you use a consistent methodology, you could use this and you could say, okay, everybody down there at the bottom, Chicago, New York, and Seattle, I'm just going to stack those guys tonight. And everybody up here at the top, Megill, Ryan, Horton, and Brown, I'm just going to use them as my pitchers. And if you do that every single night, night in and night out, you don't need to do a lot of research on your own, and you're actually competitive. That's what these tools do for you inside dfsarmy.com. Then you ask the coaches and maybe make a tweak here or a tweak there. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't much to share there, much to talk about there. We've already covered pitchers and hitters. I just wanted to share that because I said I would. Hopefully that convinces somebody to jump in here and get involved with the coaching and see some of these extra tools and things that we have here. Access to the VIP 24/7 Discord knowledge that our coaches share on a daily basis, because that's what's really going to make you a stronger player. End plug, moving on. If I go to, it looks like, am I sharing the domination station?
Yeah.
Did I click that button already? Okay, cool. Then let's do that. Let's dive in and let's do, let's build some lineups. I'm going to ask the comments first. All of you guys. I don't care if Tattoo and Razzle participate with you guys out there in comment land. We'll pick a team to stack. I'll let you guys pick the main stack, and then Darth and I'll maybe do the smaller stack, and then I will have you guys pick the first pitcher that we lock in, and Darth and I will probably do the second. And maybe this isn't the ideal way to build a lineup from top to bottom, but to be quite honest with you, it's just the way we'll get this thing locked in and started, and we'll start seeing what kind of combos we spit out from there. So who does everybody want as your SP1? That's the real question. And who's your main stack side? I see Toronto is a low end stack by Tattoo. Yankees, Zona, Seattle. Let's pick a pick.
Rick Cha says Arizona too.
All right, we'll lock in Arizona. Is
Okay.
Tosh good for GPPs? I would hope that we're picking something a little.
I think so.
Is that what we want for our first pick? Megill, Taj? You guys got to come to a vote, whether you guys want to go conservative or you want to go crazy, because whatever you guys do, I promise you, Darth and I are probably going to counter it and keep this thing from going completely off the rails on everybody. But we're locking in Arizona, right? That's our big stack
I think
side?
so, yeah. Yep. We got 2 votes for McGill, and then Raz is throwing in Rodon or Burns.
So we'll go 5x2 unless somebody really is adamant about a different stack formation. I'll default to that 5x2. I'm not going to use any randomness. I'm not going to use anything crazy. I don't even really need to use tournament mode, because we're only going to build 2 or 3 lineups out of this and see what the combinations. Build 5. See what that does. Let's shake it up with 3 unique players. As you guys are scooping in those picks and whatnot, I'm just kind of going to set this thing up by default. Where did Arizona go? There they are. We'll make them 100%. So, and are we on Megill? Is that who we're going to lock in as the SP1?
I think so.
Okay. All right. So the tribe has spoken. Snuff out the tiki torch. We've got Arizona locked in as the main stack. We've got Megill locked in as the SP1. Where do you want to go? I'll start adding teams for the small side. And we'll mix and match by putting, say, nobody in more than about 30%. But let's get it down to, say, like 3 teams. Who are you after? You said you were on Houston, right?
I was on Houston a little bit. If you're talking, if you want to maybe do like chalk, mid chalk, and then kind of a not an off the wall pick, but Houston's kind of in the middle, maybe. The Cubs, because you can afford a 2.
That's where I would have gone with a 2 or 3 man side stack, is get a couple of Cubs in there, because you're already fading enough of. I mean, not really any chalk with the Cubs. I should stop saying chalk so much. But Arizona on the big stack side provides some lower pricing generally. Houston would be double low, which would allow you to go higher on the pitching. Chicago would give you a lower priced pitcher, probably because it's a higher priced bats. We can fire off a third team. We can use the comments for that, or we can use you.
A couple people are saying Toronto.
Okay. No problems. No problems with any of it. This is the fun part about it. It's a funky lineup, man. So Arizona on the one side, Chicago, Toronto, and since I'm building 5 lineups, 30% sounds about good. It'll force 3 teams. I need it to actually be about 35, 40%. I don't want it to give me an unstacked lineup. Who's our SP2? Do we want to use Rodon or Joe Ryan,
Rodon
Hunter Brown, Tosh Bradley? We can go funky. Whatever.
Rodon or Burns for me.
Rodon or Burns. Okay, so oof.
Burns is a little lower owned if you wanted to go that rate.
Do
that
this.
Way.
We lock in Megill. We'll allow Rodon and we'll allow Burns. And what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I was going to say I'm going to
close enough.
I'm going to put 60% on them, so that we get one of each. Did you have a third?
I think just for matchup, it'd be Horton. If we want to, throw in a cheaper one to try to get some more expensive bats. Since we're just doing a few lineups, we could do that.
I'm good with it. Now, does anybody have anything against using some of those cheaper 8 and 9 hole batters, or what? Or do we just want to just rock and roll, just let it rip? Make sure we use Lawler. Where's Lawler at? He's in the lineup somewhere. I don't. Hopefully he pops in on his own. It makes me happy. Let it rip, Rick says. So, all right, we'll stop delaying. Let's
Jerry
let
the
it
King
eat.
Lawler.
Let it eat.
Nice.
Here's what we're looking at. There's lineup number 1 out of 5. Lineup number 1 is Rodon and Megill. And what is it? Arizona 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. It's a wrap. 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. 9, 2, 3, 4,
I like
5.
that.
With
there we go. Now I can see it.
3 and the 9 from Chicago, and Nemo in the 2 hole from New York as his one-off. And this is another one. And say you don't like Suzuki or you don't like Nemo, you can always use the little green arrows off to the side there, and you can swap out whoever is affordable. Like if we don't want Nemo, we can use, not that you'd use Brian Reynolds, but you could use Jake Myers for some pop and get some Houston exposure. You could use McNeil a little bit lower in the order and connect him with, something else, whatever. If he was the 2 off, let's see if we see anybody else in there.
Put in Raz's cheap Chas McCormick core.
Right. You could do any and all of it. That's the beauty of it. Let's go lineup 2, Rodon and Megill again. So this is going to have to switch up at some point. Megill's in 100%, of course. If I look over here at the pitcher side of this, Rodon's in 60%. So he's going to be in the most of them. We've got 1 Burns and we've got 1 Horton. So we're going to have a Megill Horton, a Megill Burns, and 3 Megill Rodons. And then when we look at stack combinations, a couple of Arizona Cubs, a couple of Arizona Houstons, and 1 Arizona Toronto. So it mixed up really well for us. It did good. Here's the 5x2 Arizona Houston with Rodon and Megill. So now again, we got Rodon and Megill with Arizona and the Cubs. And here's Rodon and Megill with Arizona and the Astros. Still using Nemo as the one-off. That's interesting. But you get the 3-7 hitters out of Houston. You've switched up a little bit. You've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So a little bit more connected stack, not using the 9-hole hitter out of Arizona. If you like a little more top of the order flair, maybe you would opt for something like that. Again, you can control the one-off easily. There's Rodon and Megill with Arizona and Houston. So there's switch. Now that's Rodon and Megill again. Interesting. With Arizona and Houston. Okay, so it duplicated a little bit there, but it went 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 with Houston. So a little different. It's using Cal Raleigh as the one-off, which I actually like. Right?
That's some nice power for a one-off, and that's kind of what you want on the one-off. So you don't want the little 8, 9.
I agree. And your Houston. Your Houston Mini is connected with a 7-9. It's not like a 3-7. Not that it makes a whole hell of a lot of a difference, but sometimes it can. Lineup number 4 is Burns and Megill. So we went with back to the Cubs, and it's a 5-9 Cubs. Aaron Judge is your one-off. Hello.
There you go.
That's interesting. You got 2 Cubs in there with Judge as a one-off. And
it's forcing a McGuire.
But it's forcing a wrap in the Arizona stack. You're down at the 8, 9, and then you come back up for the 3, 4, 5. So it's obviously taking its value in the Arizona stack to get Judge and some cubbies in there. And then your final lineup out of the 5, Migo Horton. There's your Toronto guy. Your 3-4 mini stacks. That's
Okay.
sweet. Judge again.
Judge
is
is
the
a one-off.
And then 2, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 2, 3, 5. Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Arizona and the 9.
And
The 9 is that it's Jordan Lawler.
There you
So
go.
you got Lawler in there as your punt, as your one-off punt. Comes in on the core on the cheat sheets. You've got your 3 and your 4. You've locked in Migo. You got 3 and 4 out of your mini stack in Toronto with some pop in it, and you're using the core that 9 wraps with the 2, 3, 4, 5. That is that's a well connected. That is a very well constructed lineup, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to like Toronto. If you prefer Cubs, go for it. If you'd prefer Houston, go for it. Or if you'd prefer to switch Toronto to your big stack and see what you get there, then you know what to do with the machine. But I think that's a little bit fun to do. We'll have to do that again next time you and I are together and have everybody build a lineup. Which of these 5 would I want to ask you guys in the comments before we take off, which of the 5 would you use that you've seen so far? I'm telling you what, I'm on that last lineup. I would just be fine. Toronto. It's the meat of the order, 3, 4, 5, 3, 5, 3, 4, whatever. I think I'd be all over that bottom line. If it was me, I might enter that one just for fun. Do you see one you like better?
No, the 5th one I like. It's the most correlated. It's probably the riskiest, just because Eovaldi is good. But like I said, they hit him well. But I think just the flow of it and the wrap and everything, I like that 5th one personally.
Man, that is something. All right, so we'd be on that one. We'll probably throw that one in there just to see what the score turns out to be. It'll probably it's baseball. It's baseball. That'd probably be trash. It probably won't work out tomorrow night, but it might. And it's got
embrace
the power
the
to do some real
volatility.
damage. It's got some power to do some real damage.
volatility.
What 4 bats would you take from Arizona? Don Play's asking. So
Carroll. I think Carroll.
I would like
Naylor.
to get him if I could. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to get him if I could.
It hurts,
but I don't know that I'm
going
gonna get
to
him.
Lineup. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sort that one off by teams.
Suarez.
Go to hitters.
What's the lineup?
So Carroll's leading off. Well, I don't think that it's green checked. So Carroll's leading off. Perdomo's up in the 2. And Gurriel's in the 3. Naylor's in the 4. Suarez in the 5. Pavin Smith in the 6. Marino 7. Alec Thomas 8. And Lawler 9. It's really hard not to like Lawler in the 9 at 2,000.
Yeah.
He does allow a lot. And he's the kind I wouldn't necessarily – other people would. I wouldn't necessarily use him as a one-off somewhere else, but I would definitely use him as part of my 5
part of your stack
in Arizona, because if that lineup flips over a few times, he gets that 4th or 5th or maybe even 6th at bat if they score 10-plus runs.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got multiple opportunities to draw a walk, to drive somebody in, to hit a double, to whatever, which he can obviously do all of that and more. But the more opportunities somebody like that gets, he's really paying off that 2K salary. It becomes free points almost. But Carroll at 6,300 is really expensive. I would like him if I could. He connects with Lawler. Anything in the meat, anything in like the top 6, any 4. And then I'd probably wrap it with the 9. Might be how I would do it. I'm not a big fan of Alec Thomas right now. Moreno's okay. I need a catcher, but man, I like the idea.
Moreno's been hot. He's got 1,100 OPS in the last week.
I like the
and
idea.
That can be different because I think people go away from catchers because catcher's dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that could give you a little bit of a difference in that lineup.
They're not bad ones to put in to the 5-man stacks either.
Right.
Or like Raleigh as a one-off was pretty freaking sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. You guys play that lineup. Pick the one that you want. You saw all 5. Take screenshots of them and put some in there if you want to, just for fun. I don't know that it's anything that I would go put a big chunk of my budget on just because we were building them all together and whatever. But it looked like fun. I liked it. Let's send this one off into the night. Darth, thanks for popping in.
Absolutely. Always happy.
Everybody know he's not my father. We get the joke. Happy summer to you, Razzle. Thanks for stopping in. Tattoo. All of you guys, Don and Dixon and Rick and Andre and all the guys that Chuck, the guys that I probably have forgotten to mention as well. Got up almost to 100 people this hour. Sweet. Good job. Like I said, text your friends, tell your friends. We'll be back tomorrow at 5:30 again, and we'll be talking a little bit smaller slate. Do you know who's with me tomorrow? Is it you again? Or
I think
is it
it's tattoo tomorrow.
Sweet.
I believe it's
All
tattoo
right.
tomorrow.
Then that's how we'll do it. Well, grab those sheets and sign up for those sheets. You guys never know who's going to pop in with me, and one of these days I won't be here, and it'll be the two of them. So that's how we'll do it. Thanks again for filling in. Really, really appreciate it. And you guys, everybody go make a bunch of money tonight. Use that coupon code MLB Live, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, helmets up.
Right on.
Sheesh. Yeah, big time.